How's it going, friends? I've got exciting news about Romania. They just held round one of their two-round presidential election. And now, all across Europe, the media is in total disbelief after the shock first-place victory of Călin Georgescu with 23%. Now, he's being described as a dark horse nationalist candidate who basically flew under the radar all the way to victory. No one in any media anywhere saw this coming. In fact, every poll was completely wrong about everything. The guy who was supposed to win first place is Marcel Ciolacu, who is the current Prime Minister of Romania and part of the Social Democrats. He got eked out into third place. He's not even going to round two now. Nationalist candidates took first and fourth place. The two candidates for the two main Romanian parties got third and fifth. A month before the election, Romanian polls were giving Georgescu about ninth place with barely anything. In the week leading up to the election, they were giving him fifth and sixth place with 6 to 8%. One poll did give him 10%, but he got 23%. And then Ciolacu was supposed to get a quarter of the vote and got slightly under a fifth. Now, how could the polls be so wrong? Well, at best, the polls are total garbage and the people conducting them have no idea what they're doing. And at worst, the polls were completely fake and they were just making up numbers. Now, all the biggest taxpayer-funded media outlets in Europe, like DW, BBC, France 24, they're pumping out segment after segment saying, how is this possible? How did some guy with no money get first place just by making videos on TikTok? Well, with all their tens of millions of euros, they haven't done any research. They're leaving out a huge major part of the election. In the beginning of August, a woman was actually kicked off the ballot by the Romanian Constitutional Court. Her name's Diana Șoșoacă. She's the leader of the party SOS Romania. Now, she legally got on the ballot. This would have made a total of 3 major nationalist candidates competing against each other in round one. Well, the court made this completely unprecedented decision. It's never been done in the history of the modern Romanian state before, to order that someone be removed from the ballot because of their views. And this is one of those things where, like, no one can even explain what the ruling even is in a clear and coherent way. It's really convoluted. As far as I can tell, they're essentially saying that if she became president, she would jeopardize Romania's membership in NATO and the EU because of her rhetoric. And that she would violate her oath of office to uphold existing treaties. And so essentially they were convicting her of something in the future that could happen. Now, in early October, Șoșoacă was actually getting 8 to 12% in the polls, more than what the polls were giving Georgescu days before the election. But the court ordered her to be removed in a highly controversial move that shocked a lot of the Romanian people, even though there's a lot of people that don't like her. A lot of people were still shocked by this unprecedented move by the court. Well, what this did was this consolidated the nationalist vote from being split between 3 candidates to only 2 candidates. And so it's obvious what happened. Her supporters voted for Georgescu. The polls were garbage or outright frauds. The Romanian establishment believed these fake polls and deluded themselves. And this guy Georgescu was making TikTok videos, building up support, and just flying under the radar until the actual election day. Now, there was about 14 or 15 candidates total. I'm not going to go through every single one, just the top few. In first place, of course, Călin Georgescu with 22.94%. In second place, Elena Lesconi with 19.18%. So she will be competing against Georgescu in round 2 on December 8th. Now, she's part of Save Romania Union, which is like a pro-business liberal party. It's allied with some other establishment center-right parties in Romania. It's basically like Mitt Romney Republicans, and they're extremely pro-EU, pro-NATO. In third place, Marcel Ciolacu, who, as I said, was supposed to be easily in first place. He got eked out 19.15%. In fourth place is another nationalist, George Simeon of the Alliance for the Union of Romanians. He got 13.86%. This is currently the main nationalist party in Romania right now, and they got about 15% in the recent EU election. In fifth place is Nicolae Ciucă. I have no idea how his last name is pronounced, but he's part of the National Liberal Party, which is the main establishment center-right party. This is supposed to be one of the main parties. It's part of the ruling coalition with the Social Democrats. Well, he only got 8.79%. And then a former Deputy Secretary General of NATO, Mircea Geoana, he got 6.32%. And Hunor Kelemen, who represents the Hungarian Minority Interest Party, he got 4.5%. And then it goes into really low numbers after that. So here's the other huge twist in this election. Besides Ciolacu being kicked off the ballot, you have this sort of shocking background that Georgescu has. If you were just going off his background, you would think that he was a major big shot globalist. So he actually once worked for the UN High Commission on Human Rights, which is one of their big open borders mass immigration departments. And then he worked in Germany at a research center for the Club of Rome. And then more recently than that, he was executive director of something called the Global Sustainability Index. This is something that was, of all things, established and funded by the government of Canada in conjunction with the United Nations. He was running it. Their main global office is in Switzerland. That's where he worked. And then all their other offices are in Canada. And then in 2020, the Alliance for the Union of Romanians, which I just mentioned, well, they got 9% of the vote, and he was their candidate for prime minister. And he was involved with that party for a few years, and now he's operating independently. I don't know if there's a specific reason why he didn't try to run as that party's presidential candidate. Maybe this Simeon, maybe he thought he could make it into the top 2 himself. I don't know. So you get this shock victory by this guy with a shock background, but he's said to be very nationalistic, very religious and conservative, and very critical of NATO and the EU, and he wants to end the Russo-Ukrainian war. Now, in Europe, a lot of European presidents are largely ceremonial and only do a few things. The Romanian president seems to be a lot more substantial. And one of the things is the Romanian president is the commander-in-chief, does have control over the Romanian armed forces, and plays a large role in foreign policy. Now, 25 years ago, Romania was seen as a hotbed of nationalism in Europe. And you had a party called the Great Romania Party. And in 2000, the leader, Vadim Cornelius Tudor, he came in second place in round one, and there was a massive freak out across Europe. Now, he lost 2-1 in round two. There was a lot of shenanigans too, but he never really had a chance of actually winning. After Romania was accepted into the European Union, they did elect several MEPs from the Great Romania Party, and they were part of one of the first ever nationalist groupings in the EU. It's called Identity, Tradition, and Sovereignty. But then the party kind of dissipated really fast. By about 2008, it just disappeared pretty much. And there's this long period where there didn't seem to be any nationalist party in Romania anymore. And this finally changed in 2020 with the general election, with the Alliance for the Union of Romanians getting 9%. And like I said, Georgescu was actually their official candidate for prime minister. And then in the recent 2024 EU election, the Alliance for the Union of Romanians got 15%, and SOS Romania, led by Diana Șoșoacă, who I talked about earlier, her party got 5%, and combined they took 25% of Romania's seats in the European Union. Now, Diana Șoșoacă herself is actually a former member of the AUR, but she became sort of a toxic wild card, and I think she was suspended for something she said, and then she quit the party and started a rival party. Now, she had originally said that her party would join Identity and Democracy in the European Union. And then when Le Pen kicked Alternative for Germany out of ID, she said that she wanted to form a new group with Alternative for Germany, the AfD. Well, currently her party is still unaffiliated, and most people think it's because she's just seen as a wild card and someone that everyone else thinks is a liability to work with, because no one ever knows what she's going to blurt out. She likes to make big, loud scenes in public. That's basically her thing. At any rate, the Romanian nationalist movement is definitely back with a bang. And on top of round two being on December 8th, they're also having the next general election. I believe it's scheduled for December 1st. So there's going to be a complete shakeup of the whole Romanian government. New president, new parliament. Now, I don't know if Georgescu has a shot of winning, but I definitely think he's going to do way better than the roughly 33% that Tudor got back in the year 2000. I think he's definitely has a better shot than that. All right, thanks for watching this video. Click the like button, post a comment below. Tell me what you think about all this. Now, my videos are suppressed on YouTube, so please also support me on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, and Twitter. And click the subscribe button. New video every few days.